Um, Others that came in to eat and drink and talk were Al and Norma Brandow, Bonnie and Bill Paya, Jan Darby, our waitress, and her husband, Glenn Cosmetine, Agnes and Jim English of the English Brothers Garage, and Carl and Art Leonard. They were brothers, and they had Culligans. There was always someone sitting around just waiting for someone to come in and chew the fat. Oh, you know, there was always someone there. You could tell your troubles to, and then you had, of course, when you did that, you had to listen to their troubles, you know. So, but it was nice. And RG stands for right good. R.G. Day was Pappy's friend on the railroad, and he came in all the time. He was always putting the needle to Pappy, telling stories about him and jokes about him. Lou Becerra of Becerra's Mushroom Plant, Jean and Red Gillett, Gert and George Hartman, Eleanor and Norm Uthi. Norm was the manager of the Silver Lake Golf Course, and Annie English and her husband Clarence Sprague, Sherry Hogue, who did our books and married Rudy Petan. Rudy at one time had a lunchroom where the restaurant Bogart was on the corner, not where it is now at Bettenhausen's place, but where it was on the corner there. We had 2 boxer dogs, well, Gladys did, named Judy and Thor. Later on we had a Tina, and then we also had a green-headed parrot named Susie. Some called her Susie Q. And she sat in a very large cage on the top of a very high refrigerator in the kitchen. You could hardly see her. The refrigerator was so high. At that time, you know, they didn't come in to check to see if birds were in the kitchen or how you were feeding people or anything like that. You know, and there was no checking going on. Sometimes she was in the porch room by the bar. Now, Susie could sing and squawk, and she'd sing buttons and bows, and she'd, whoa, she was so funny. She could talk, and she could say, Polly wants a cracker, give me a kiss, and then she laughed and laughed. She'd go, ha, 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 ha. She loved fried chicken legs and French fries, and sometimes, well, many times, people would stick their fingers in the cage, and she nipped them. And then she laughed, ha, ha, ha. But I don't know what it was, she would let the children scratch her head, and she would gurgle, and she'd sing real low, little tiny songs, you know. Oh, and she bit every man she could. She just enjoyed that so much. One man that she bit, he was not a regular customer. No, of course not. But he complained to the police. And they said that they would have to confine Susie, like he was going to get some kind of osis disease. So Susie jumped bail, and she flew to Coop to Alabama. Gladys and Pappy were retired in Alabama by this time. And she lived down there and outside on the patio and singing her heart out. She was having a wonderful time. She lived a few more years, and then one day she was on her perch in her cage, and she gave out a large squawk, and she fell backwards onto the bottom of her cage on her back. She died at age 65 by a fatal heart attack. Now, do you think that was too many French fries? I know it was that because Gladys had an autopsy done. She says, I have to know what happened to her.